Imagine commanding vast conglomerates, making billion-dollar decisions with a single call, only to be weighed down by one fear: your own son's failure to live up to your legacy. Then one evening, after a long, exhausting day of deals and boardroom wars, you return home, only to find your maid teaching your son something that leaves you speechless. In a mansion built on power and wealth, what secret could possibly unfold? Hello friends, welcome to Oyam's African Tales. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of hidden potentials, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. Stories like this deserve to be remembered and retold, and your support makes it possible.
For months, Kwame Okoro, the billionaire, boardroom lion, and owner of half the city, had been haunted by a quiet fear. Not the fear of losing wealth or reputation, but something deeper, the fear of losing his only son. Nduka, heir to the empire, bearer of the Grant legacy, was everything Kwame couldn't understand. Restless, distracted, uninterested in books or lessons, tutors came and went. Some left in frustration, others in defeat. Each report was the same. Nduka shows little focus, sir. And every night, after the endless calls and billion-dollar negotiations, Kwame would stare at the city lights through his glass wall and whisper to himself, "What if my son never becomes the man I hoped he'd be?" The mansion, though grand, echoed with loneliness. The air smelled of polished marble and silence. And somewhere between business and fatherhood, Kwame seems to be losing the bridge that connected him to his child. Until one quiet evening, the heavy mahogany doors swung open earlier than usual. The sound of polished Italian leather shoes echoed across the marble floor. Kwame had returned home from a grueling meeting that had drained both his patience and his soul. All he wanted was silence, a glass of aged wine, and solitude. But what he saw stopped him cold in his tracks. His maid, dressed in her crisp black and white uniform, stood in front of a large whiteboard, her hand moving with precision as she scribbled complex equations and formulas. And beside her, his 8-year-old son, Nduka, sat cross-legged on a chair, his eyes wide with wonder, as if mesmerized by a magician's tricks. The maid wasn't cleaning or dusting. She was teaching, mentoring, sharing her knowledge of advanced mathematics with his child. Kwame's mind reeled as he struggled to comprehend the scene unfolding before him. The formulas on the board were real, and so was her brilliance. Was it possible for an 8-year-old to grasp such complex concepts? The equations were real, and his son was absorbing every word like a sponge. Kwame froze in the doorway, his mouth slightly ajar. The chandelier above glittered, casting a soft, golden light onto the surreal scene. His maid, Aisha, didn't notice him. Her focus was entirely on his son, Nduka, who scribbled notes furiously in his notebook. "Now remember, Nduka," she was saying, her voice a gentle but firm murmur. "Mathematics isn't about memorizing numbers. It's about patterns. It's about understanding the universe's language." The words struck Kwame like a physical blow. He couldn't remember the last time he had taught his son anything meaningful. Yet here was Aisha, the woman he barely acknowledged each day, giving his son something he had never managed to give: inspiration. Kwame's mind settled into a cold, quiet storm. He recalled Aisha's arrival years ago. She was humble, quiet, hardworking. A shadow that blended seamlessly, too seamlessly, into the background of their luxurious existence. To him, she was just another member of the staff, nothing more, nothing less. But now he watched her. She wasn't clearing a table or dusting. She stood before a complex diagram, her slender finger pointing to advanced formulas. Her voice, usually soft, carried an unsettling authority as she dissected intricate concepts with a natural, almost chilling ease. He realized then he had never truly seen her. The terrifying thought bloomed. Had she deliberately worn a mask of invisibility? He had never asked where she came from, what she knew, or what dreams she once had. As a critical silence fell, he wondered not only what else she was capable of, but what her long-held secrets might finally unravel. Nduka's small voice broke his trance. "Miss Aisha, does this mean I can solve problems that even adults can't?" Aisha's smile was gentle. "Yes, Nduka. You are capable of far more than you realize. All it takes is curiosity and courage." Courage. The word was a lead weight in Kwame's gut. For years, he had built empires, yet he had been too much of a coward to step fully into his son's world. He justified his absence as providing for the family. But standing there, witnessing the bright spark in his son's eyes, he realized money could never buy this. He wanted to retreat, to walk away before anyone noticed his presence, but his feet refused to move. His heart, now hammering in his chest, demanded answers. Finally, Aisha turned slightly and gasped when she saw him. "Sir, I didn't expect you home so early," she stammered, her composure melting instantly into nervous humility. Nduka turned too. "Dad, look, Miss Aisha is teaching me math. Real math, like the kind geniuses do." Kwame's eyes were locked on Aisha. "What's going on here?" he asked. Aisha lowered her gaze. "I'm very sorry, sir. I didn't mean to overstep. Nduka was simply curious about the equations on my old notebook one day. And Old notebook?" Kwame interrupted. "Yes," Aisha whispered. "I used to study engineering back home in Accra, but life." And just like that, the billionaire's world shifted. Aisha's story began to unfold in Kwame's mind. She was not just a maid. She was once a scholar, a dreamer, a person whose ambitions were buried under the crushing weight of poverty, loss, and circumstances crueler than he could imagine. Yet here she was, not bitter, not complaining, but pouring what little she had left, her knowledge, her passion, into his child. That night, Kwame lay awake, the weight of his wealth heavier than ever. The eager spark in his son Nduka's eyes and the quiet patience in Aisha's voice lingered in his mind, sharper than any boardroom defeat. For the first time in decades, he felt powerless, not from a failed deal, but from the dawning truth that his billions had blinded him to the treasures under his own roof. In the days that followed, Kwame found himself drawn to the study, watching from the shadows as Aisha tutored Nduka. Nduka, once distracted, now sat for hours, his focus razor-sharp. Kwame's hardened heart began to crack. One evening, Aisha approached him. "Sir, if you'd rather I stop teaching Nduka, I will. I know it's not my place." Kwame shook his head. "Aisha, you've given my son more than I ever could. Please don't stop." He asked her how someone like her ended up here. Slowly, she shared her story. She'd been a top student in her home country, dreaming of becoming an engineer. But when her father died, leaving her family in crushing debt, she left her studies and came overseas, working as a domestic helper. Kwame offered Aisha resources to resume her studies, but she declined. "Sir, I'm grateful. But right now, my greatest joy is helping Nduka become the man he's meant to be. That's enough for me." Her words pierced Kwame's soul. He felt a pang of shame, not for her, but for himself. He'd walked past greatness every day, too consumed by profit margins to notice. Tears stung Kwame's eyes. In Aisha's selflessness, he saw true wealth, not in bank vaults or sprawling estates, but in a heart that had lost everything yet still chose to give. From that moment, he vowed to change that. Weeks passed, and Kwame's world shifted. His board members noticed a change, less sharpness, more patience, more humanity. They didn't know it was because of a woman who reminded him of life's greatest equation. Love plus sacrifice equals legacy. But just when harmony seemed within reach, then life threw a curveball. Whispers about Aisha teaching Nduka had spread.
Hello guys, haven't subscribed yet? Please subscribe now, hit the like button, and leave a comment to help.
Shareholders mocked him, and social media twisted the story into sensational headlines. Billionaire's maid becomes tutor. Is his son's future at risk? The pressure grew. The old Kwame would have buckled under the weight of reputation. But as he stood in the study one evening, watching Nduka's eyes light up as Aisha explained a geometric proof, he realized something profound. Reputation meant nothing without truth. And the truth was that Aisha had unlocked Kwame's heart in a way no elite tutor or private school ever had. As the pressure grew, investors hinted at pulling support. Journalists circled the mansion. Even Kwame's school principal called, politely suggesting a qualified professional replace Aisha. Each word tested Kwame's resolve, but he looked at his son, thriving under Aisha's care, and at Aisha, whose humility shone brighter each day. For the first time in years, he felt alive, purposeful. "Let them talk," he told himself. "They don't see what I see." Then fate struck again. A letter arrived from Aisha's home country. Her mother was gravely ill, and the family's debt had spiraled further. Aisha faced an impossible choice: stay or return home. Kwame overheard her quiet sobs in the kitchen one night, and his heart sank. He knew what he had to do, but would it be enough to keep her light in their lives? And would the world's judgment finally break the fragile bond they'd built? One late night, Kwame found Aisha sitting alone in the kitchen. "My mother's very ill back home," she whispered. "I need to go." "I'll help," Kwame said firmly. "Medical care, expenses, whatever it takes." He told her it was gratitude, not charity. Aisha shook her head, tears sliding down her cheeks. "You've done enough already, sir. I don't want charity. I just need to be there." "This isn't charity, Aisha. It's gratitude. You've given my son, and me, something I can never repay. Let me do this, not as your employer, but as someone who finally understands what it means to care." Kwame replied. Within days, Kwame arranged everything. He secured a flight for Aisha and had his chauffeur drive her to the airport. As she boarded, she turned to him, eyes glistening. "I'll come back, sir. I promised Nduka I'd never stop teaching him." Weeks later, Kwame traveled to Aisha's village himself. The poverty there was stark, but so was the resilience of its people. As he sat with Aisha's family, listening to their stories, an idea took root. Back home, he gathered Nduka in the study and said, "Your Miss Aisha isn't just a teacher, she's a hero, and we're going to help her build something that lasts." That was the birth of the Aisha Foundation, dedicated to education in underserved communities, with Aisha as its director. Kwame funded schools, scholarships, and training programs, ensuring Aisha's vision of bridges and schools for children could come to life. He didn't stop there. He cleared her family's debts and ensured her mother received the best medical care. Months later, when Aisha returned, Nduka ran into her arms, tears streaming down his face. "I thought you wouldn't come back," he sobbed. Aisha knelt, smiling through her own tears. "I promised I'd never stop teaching you, didn't I?" The lessons resumed, and Kwame often joined them. Not as a distant billionaire, but as a father rediscovering life's beauty through his son's curiosity and Aisha's wisdom. The world took notice. News outlets that once mocked him now ran headlines praising his vision. Investors who had doubted him sought his advice. But Kwame cared little for their approval. All that mattered was Nduka's laughter, Aisha's fulfillment, and the thousands of children the foundation reached. Years later, at a gala celebrating the foundation's success, a reporter asked Kwame about his greatest investment. He smiled, his gaze settling on Aisha, who was laughing with Nduka across the room. "It wasn't a company or a building," he said. "It was a woman who taught me that true wealth lies in lifting others."
Thanks for being here. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to Oyam's African Tales. Your support helps us bring more real, emotional, and life-changing stories to you.
Hello guys, I hope you enjoyed our stories. Please hit the like button, leave a comment below and subscribe to our channel.